Welcome to this online worship service. I'm the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore, and I minister to this congregation along with the Reverends Jennifer Brower and Jay Brooks and our student minister, Aaliyah Shinborough. Although we continue to be physically distant to protect public health and to care for one another, we also continue to create a loving religious community, encourage spiritual growth, and to build a more just and joyful world. We seek to restore the balance of our spirits, to celebrate the joys of life, and to find the strength to meet our sorrows. You may be new to Unitarian Universalism. Ours is a religious tradition which embraces the wisdom of all faiths and values diversity. We believe in using science, reason, and imagination, awe, and wonder to explore life's meaning and mystery. We believe that we can together build the beloved community. Please visit our website to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. At noon each Sunday, you are invited to our virtual coffee hour to meet new friends and to see the faces of old friends who you are missing. Welcome.
Welcome to Veatch Sunday. Veatch has been a leader in progressive philanthropy for more than 60 years. It is the national philanthropic program of our congregation, which provides long-term core support for social justice organizing throughout the United States. Veatch Sunday is a long-standing annual tradition at Shelter Rock. Every January, we welcome organizational leaders from our over 180 grantees. Together, we engage in learning, reflection, and celebration. They join us in our worship service. They share with us about their work. They leave us feeling challenged and grateful for our partnership. It is more important now than ever that we welcome them, hear their words, and open our hearts to their vision of hope and justice. In this time of so much loss and change, Veatch grantees put our faith into action every day. I want to acknowledge our musicians and all who have contributed to today's service. Following the service, please join us for virtual coffee hour, followed by the Veatch annual meeting at 1 o'clock, where Veatch grantees will relate how they are working toward a recovery in our health, economy, and democracy.
I'm Joan Maneri, Executive Director of the Veatch program. We vision a world that trusts, invests in, and leads with the power of our Veatch grantee partners and the communities that they represent throughout the country. This Veatch Sunday, we welcome and thank all of those who contributed to today's very special sermon. You will be hearing from leaders of the following 8 organizations: United We Dream, Down Home North Carolina, the Partnership for Working Families, the FOZ Collaborative at Meadville Lombard Theological School, United for Respect, the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, and the New York Taxi Workers Alliance. We see you, we appreciate you, and we stand with you in building the world we all so desperately need, and that we know through our values to be possible.
I offer these opening words as we light our chalice. These are the words of Dorothy Day. People say, "What's the sense of our small effort?" They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has a right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do.
Asómate a la ventana. Te traje una serenata. Aunque estés encarcelado, mira, te canta quien te ama. Por ti me juego la vida. Por liberarte me muero en la raya. Ay, qué leyes tan injustas que buscan el separarnos. Nos juzgan de criminales por ser indocumentados. No saben que nuestras manos a ellos los tienen tragando. A donde vayas te sigo si te deportan también. A la chingada este norte. Porque sin ti ya pa' qué. Mis hijos desconsolados me preguntan por su padre y yo no puedo mentirles, la situación es muy grave. Usted, señor presidente, huérfanos quiere dejarles. A donde vayas te sigo si te deportan también. A la chingada este norte. Porque sin ti ya pa' qué.
Vocal New York is a Veatch grantee based in New York City. They work here on Long Island and throughout New York State to build power of low-income people directly impacted by HIV/AIDS, mass incarceration, and homelessness. Vocal was founded in 1999 by AIDS activists who were quite literally at the time fighting for their lives. Vocal New York's first campaigns were about winning affordable housing for people living with HIV. Their members knew then, and as they know now, that a real home can transform a person's life. A home brings stability, improved health, and a sense of community. Vocal New York has never stopped fighting for housing for the most vulnerable amongst us. But today they need our support to build an organizational home of their own. As Brooklyn has rapidly gentrified, Vocal New York's long-term office space on 4th Avenue has been sold to developers and soon will be replaced with luxury condos. After close to 20 years, Vocal New York is being forced out. But they're seizing the moment to secure new permanent space only blocks from where they are currently located. Their goal is to own what they so beautifully call a home for justice, compassion, and love. That's a home base for organizing and for member support. Today's plate collection for Vocal New York will help them to continue their life-saving work for decades to come. Please join me in supporting Vocal New York today. Instructions on how to contribute will now appear on your screen.
Let us enter a time of silence, meditation, or prayer with these words from the Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to all of us and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion. Compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the suffering that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace, peace in our hearts and on earth. Amen.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Hello, Veatch family. It's such an honor to be with all of you and join you in Veatch Sunday. My name is Graisa Martinez Rosas. I am undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
And I am so grateful to be able to participate in Veatch Sunday on the theme of power and possibility.
I wanted to speak to you about the hope I'm taking into 2021, but I would be remiss in not also acknowledging what has been so hard about the last 5 years, and especially this last year.
As you so well know, our world has been experiencing significant unrest as issues of racial injustice, violence, stereotyping, and exclusion have troubled our minds and our hearts and bodies. Black and brown people, immigrants, and other global cousins around the world are, as they have been for generations, they're being targeted for horrible mistreatment, disrespect, and physical and spiritual violence.
Across the country, United for Respect leaders from Amazon, Walmart, and Wall Street-owned retailers have publicly shared how dire things are in their workplaces, how they are suffering at the hands of corporate pursuit of profit over human life. The billionaires have profited in this period over $1 trillion since COVID hit.
And obviously 2020 was a difficult year for all of us. It was a difficult year, especially for low-income folks, for people of color, for people without shelter, for people who don't have basic health care in what is one of the richest countries in all of the world.
This past year has felt sobering. And far too many times, it felt unprecedented. From a pandemic that disproportionately threatened the lives of Black and brown people, to bearing witness to the continued killing of Black people by the hands of law enforcement and the continued violence of undocumented people in the hands of ICE and CBP.
El año pasado, la pandemia del COVID-19 vino a cambiar nuestro ritmo de vida y de trabajo. Tuvimos que básicamente hacer un giro de 180 grados para enfocar en el trabajo ahora en contra del COVID-19. Cómo proteger nuestra comunidad del COVID-19. Cómo asegurar que los trabajadores agrícolas estuvieran protegidos.
Taxi drivers on one hand are being told that they're essential, that we need that service in order to get through the worst of our times. On the other hand, for unemployment, all they're getting is $182 a week. I mean, it's just, it really tells you everything you need to know about how little we value, workers and people's labor, and how easily we're willing to tell other people to go and put their lives at risk.
It's also true that Black, Indigenous, and other people of color have been spending so much time leading the work of righting these wrongs that it has distracted them from attending to the essential work of spiritual healing that accompanies bringing about social change.
So COVID-19 is a novel pandemic. First time we've seen it in science. But the issues that it has uncovered are endemic to US society. racial injustice, inequality. All of those things have been exacerbated by COVID-19. But what we know is that 2020 was not an aberration. It is really a culmination of treating people and the planet as disposable.
March 13th, we said to ourselves, we're shifting everything. We're no longer trying to imagine what our legislative policy was going to be. We said we got to pause. We got to pause, and we got to make sure that we are taking care of our own.
Yet there is tremendous opportunity in these crises. This new reality has brought us to a new level of public awareness and support for fundamentally reshaping how our society values people working in low-wage jobs, on whom we all depend.
So how do we have hope in the midst of this? I'm reminded, and our network is reminded, of the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who said that sometimes it's only in the darkest of night that we can see the stars. I get to work amongst so many of these stars. We had affiliate leaders who made it their business and their work to expand sick day measures along with their partners on the ground, to pass eviction moratoria.
And there's a saying that, when all things are on the floor, everything is also on the table, right? And so there's this disarray that is happening in our country, and yet people are seeing that we need transformative solutions. People are seeing that we need to fund communities. We need to invest in books, not bars, jobs, not jails, healthcare and housing, not handcuffs.
So direct services, direct actions and coalition building have really been at the heart of how we've been finding the most in our possibility and building the most of our power. I think it's not only gotten us through this quarantine, but it's going to get us through the next 2 years in particular, as I think all of us have to really brace ourselves for, more of an austerity regime.
Como comunidad, como organización, y junto con nuestros aliados, gente como ustedes, logramos que Immokalee fuera una de las primeras comunidades de trabajadores agrícolas que recibiera las pruebas del COVID-19 gratis y accesibles para todos los trabajadores a nivel nacional. Eso demuestra que cuando se trabaja junto como organización y con aliados, gente de afuera, se pueden hacer cambios, se pueden traer cosas indispensables para nuestra comunidad.
What has been reinforced for me over the past year and also over the past few years is that undocumented young people are resilient and we show up. I saw this over the past year as I stood outside of the Supreme Court with immigrant young people declaring that our home is here and that we are here to stay.
In this year, when so much was talked about around the red rural community, the division in rural America, so different from the cities, I saw Black, white, brown, working class North Carolinians coming out to protest police brutality, coming out to standing up and saying, our voices need to be heard.
November of 2020, thanks to the support of Veatch, we were able to gather about 1,300 Unitarian Universalists from around the world and change their understanding of how racial differences shaped their lives.
To really see the level of fight that's in people during this time period is unbelievably heartening and inspiring and motivating. All of us on staff, how all of these phone messages from our members, from emergency rooms or their hospital beds, those same members, once they started to heal, and after July, we started to hit the streets with motorcades, they came out onto the streets and they were in the motorcades and they were fighting. It's such a deep sense of resilience, right? Of people saying, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to be demoralized. I'm not going to be discouraged. And I'm not going to let my poverty be used to silence me.
During these trying times, the resilience and strength of essential workers has kept us all clear and focused and given us hope. Over this next year, our vision is to work with our partners to build a movement of essential workers across industries and geographies. This movement will bring those most impacted by the intersecting injustices faced by frontline workers to the forefront of developing and winning policies that keep people safe and economically stable.
Amidst a sea of uncertainty, I am firm in the idea of the discipline of hope. It was this hope that strengthened me during my own father's deportation. It was hope that held me through the death of my mother. It was hope that embraced me as I came out as a queer, undocumented woman.
Vamos a tener otra vez que levantarnos. Vamos a tener otra vez que junto con nuestros aliados, salir a gritar, salir a demandar que las vacunas también lleguen a nuestra comunidad, que sean accesibles para nosotros los trabajadores agrícolas, que al final de cuentas somos los que ponemos la comida en millones de hogares de los Estados Unidos.
It is not each other that is causing all this pain. That there are actually a small group of very wealthy people who are engineering this structure that creates so much pain and division. And so this year, we are taking all of that power we have built from our 2020 electoral work, from our deep canvassing work, and we are moving it into continuing to fight for Medicaid expansion, affordable housing, and the ability to move resources from local jail expansions to social services. And I have so much hope that we're going to be able to succeed and do this. And why? Because our members give me hope.
And we're already starting to see in 2021 some new breaks on the horizon. Just this month, Amazon, the world's richest company, headed by the world's richest man, just announced that it will launch a $2 billion affordable housing fund in the 3 cities in which it has headquartered itself. This would not have been possible had it not been for the enormous community organizing efforts that have happened on the ground, that many of our affiliates have been playing a leadership role in. We can see how we might see a world in which the mighty are humbled and the humble gain power.
Eso es la esperanza más grande. Ver que mis hijos crezcan, que mis hijos sean unas personas que pueden mantenerse por sí solos. No importa que vayan a trabajar al campo, que lo hagan, pero que lo hagan también sabiendo que van a recibir un trato justo, que van a recibir un salario justo y que van a hacer un trabajo honesto.
The South is proving that there are people ready to make progressive change, not only for their state, but for the entire country. And I really think about all of those organizing efforts, those long years after years of investment coming to fruition in Georgia and coming to fruition in North Carolina.
As we look forward, there's often not a lot of evidence that we are making a difference. Yet, as our Universalist theology teaches us, revelation is not sealed. We have an opportunity, an obligation to stay at the table of social change and play our part. And because of your generosity, we have the resources to make that happen.
I believe we can achieve this because I believe in the power of multiracial working class organizing. I believe in the power of working people to set a new course for this country. I believe that a worker movement grounded in racial justice and feminism is the best chance we have in this country to defeat white supremacy and fascism and realize a true multiracial democracy in this country.
Thank you so much for the commitment that you've had to our vision, to our movement, and to the members of United We Dream. I'm honored to join you this Sunday. And I'm really grounded in this joy that I feel in my heart. It's this joy that comes from the understanding that there are millions of young people across the country that have taken the responsibility to enable another America for each and every one of us.
I'd like to close with a quote from Arundhati Roy, a novelist and writer and thinker who I take great inspiration from. And she writes, "Another world is not only possible, she is on her way, and on a quiet day, I can hear her breathing."
In closing, the words of Emil Gunderson. And now, may we have faith to do the wise planting, that the generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become fields of reality. We extinguish our chalice with the words of Elizabeth Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you.